Ever noticed how some people don't argue? They just go silent. No shouting, no explanation, no drama, just silence. And that silence hits harder than any words ever could. Because when someone stops reacting, it doesn't mean they don't care. It means they felt too much already. Most people think silence is weakness, like they don't have the courage to speak up. But the truth is, silence is often a defense mechanism, a psychological shield. When a person gets hurt deeply, the brain doesn't always choose to fight. It chooses to withdraw. It's called emotional shutdown, your mind trying to protect you from more damage. And here's where it gets dangerous. The more someone feels misunderstood, the less they feel the need to explain themselves. They stop arguing, not because they lost, but because they realized being understood was never the goal in the first place. They go quiet because words start to feel useless. And when words lose value, silence takes over. And once someone reaches that point, something shifts inside them. They stop expecting, they stop explaining, they stop trying to be understood, because they've already tried. And that's the part nobody sees. People only notice the silence. They don't see the moments before it. The overthinking, the sleepless nights, the conversations in their head they never said out loud. The way they replay every word, every situation, trying to figure out where things went wrong. And after a point, they get tired. Not physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted. And that exhaustion turns into silence. Not because they don't have anything to say, but because they don't have the energy to say it anymore. This is where most people misjudge them. They think they don't care anymore, but in reality, it's the opposite. They cared too much for too long. And when care isn't matched, when effort isn't reciprocated, when emotions are ignored, the brain starts protecting itself by pulling back. It's not a choice. It's survival. Now, here's something deeper. Silence is not always about the other person. Sometimes, it's about self-respect. When someone realizes that explaining themselves over and over again doesn't change anything, they stop trying. Because repeating your pain to someone who refuses to understand it only makes you feel smaller. So instead, they choose distance. They choose silence. They choose peace over chaos. And that's the moment the dynamic changes. Because now, they're no longer chasing clarity. They're accepting reality, and acceptance is powerful. It kills false hope. It removes emotional dependency. It forces you to see things as they are, not how you want them to be. Now think about this. Have you ever tried to argue with someone who has already gone silent? It feels different, right? Because there's no reaction. No emotional feedback. No engagement. And that creates discomfort. The human mind expects reactions, expects responses, expects energy. But when there's silence, there's nothing to hold on to. And that's why silence feels so heavy. It creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates tension. This is why silence can be more powerful than words, because words can be argued with, silence cannot. Words can be twisted, silence cannot. Words can be ignored, silence cannot. And that's exactly why some people choose it, not as a weapon, but as protection. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Not all silence is the same. Some silence is peaceful, some is painful. Some people go silent because they've healed, others because they're still hurting, and the difference is subtle, but powerful. That a healed person's silence feels calm, steady, unbothered. They're not trying to prove anything. They're not waiting for anything. They've just moved on. But a hurt person's silence feels heavy, unspoken, loaded with emotions they couldn't express. And if you pay attention, you can feel the difference. But most people don't. They react instead of observing. They assume instead of understanding. And that's where things fall apart. Because when someone goes silent, your reaction determines everything. If you chase them, push them, force them to talk, you make them withdraw even more. Because now it feels like pressure, and pressure creates resistance. But if you stay calm, give space, don't take it personally, something interesting happens. You break the pattern, you show emotional stability, and that builds respect. Now here's a hard truth. Sometimes people don't come back from silence. Not because they hate you, but because they've outgrown the situation. That they've processed everything internally, silently, without you. And by the time you realize something is wrong, it's already too late, because their silence was not sudden. It was gradual. It was built over time, layer by layer, moment by moment. every ignored feeling, every misunderstood emotion, every time they felt unheard, added to that silence, and eventually, it became permanent. This is why silence should never be ignored, that it's not empty, that it's full of things left unsaid. Now let's flip the perspective. What if you are the one going silent? What if you're the one who's tired of explaining, tired of being misunderstood, tired of feeling like your words don't matter? Then understand this. Your silence is not weakness, that it's a signal, that it's telling you something is off. Something is not aligned. Something is draining you. And instead of forcing yourself to speak, you need to understand why you don't want to. Because silence is your mind's way of saying, this is not worth your energy anymore. And once you understand that, you stop fighting it, you start listening to it. And that's where growth begins. But be careful, because silence can protect you, but it can also isolate you. If you use silence to avoid everything, you'll end up disconnecting from people who actually care. So the key is awareness. Know why you're silent. Is it peace? Or is it pain? Is it clarity? Or is it confusion? Because once you understand your silence, you control it instead of being controlled by it. Now let's bring this back to attraction and human behavior. Why do people sometimes get more attracted when someone goes silent? Because silence creates mystery. When someone stops explaining themselves, stops reacting, stops being predictable, it triggers curiosity. The mind starts asking questions. What changed? Why are they different? Did I lose them? And that curiosity turns into attention. Attention turns into focus, and focus turns into attraction. But here's the catch. This only works when the silence is genuine. If you fake silence, if you pretend to not care, while internally you're desperate, it shows. Energy doesn't lie. People can feel it. So this is not about playing games. This is about becoming emotionally stable, so that your silence comes from strength, not from fear. And once you reach that level, you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain everything. You don't need to react to everything. Because you understand something most people don't, and not every situation deserves your voice. Not every person deserves your energy. And not every moment needs your reaction. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. And this is where everything comes together, because now you don't just understand silence. You start using it the right way, not to punish, not to manipulate, but to protect your peace and control your energy. Because the real power of silence is not in making others feel something. It's in making sure nothing can shake you anymore. Now think about how most people react when they get hurt. They over-explain. They chase closure. They try to fix everything immediately. And in that process, they lose themselves. They give away their emotional control piece by piece, hoping the other person will understand. But most of the time, that understanding never comes. And that's exactly why silence becomes necessary. Not as an escape, but as a reset. When you step back, when you stop reacting, when you allow things to settle, you start seeing clearly. You notice patterns you ignored before. You understand behaviors you excused before. And slowly, you realize something important. Not everything is meant to be fixed. Some things are meant to be seen, understood, and then left behind. And that realization changes you. It makes you calmer. It makes you sharper. It makes you harder to manipulate. Because now you're not reacting from emotion, you're responding from awareness. And awareness is dangerous in the best way possible, because once you see things clearly, you can't unsee them. You stop falling for the same patterns. You stop chasing the same validation. You stop repeating the same mistakes. And that's when people start noticing a shift in you. They feel that you're different, more distant, more controlled, more grounded. And here's the interesting part. Some will respect it, and some will feel uncomfortable, because your silence reflects their behavior back to them. When you don't react, they are forced to face themselves, and most people aren't comfortable with that, so they try to pull you back into the old pattern. They try to trigger you, get a reaction, get control again. But this time, you don't fall for. Because now you understand the game. You understand that every reaction is a form of permission. Permission for someone else to influence your state. And when you stop giving that permission, you take your power back completely. Now let's make this practical. Because understanding is useless without action. Next time someone ignores you, don't chase them, don't double text, don't overthink. Just observe and continue your life. Next time someone tries to trigger you, don't defend, don't explain, just stay calm. and let your silence speak. Next time you feel the urge to prove your point, pause, ask yourself, is this even worth my energy? And if the answer is no, walk away silently. This is how you build control, step by step, moment by moment. It's not about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. Clear about what you tolerate, what you accept, what you walk away from. And once you reach that level, your presence changes. You don't need loud words. You don't need constant validation. You don't need approval, because your calmness becomes your confidence. Your silence becomes your statement. Your control becomes your identity. And that's when attraction changes too. People don't just notice you, they feel you. They feel that you're not easy to read, not easy to control, not easy to replace. And that creates a different kind of respect. The kind that doesn't come from effort, it comes from energy. But remember this, real silence is not about shutting the world out. It's about choosing where your voice matters. Use it where there's understanding. Use it where there's respect. Use it where there's value. And where there isn't, let silence handle it. Because not every battle needs to be fought. Some just need to be left alone. Now alone. Now ask yourself honestly, how many times did you lose your peace just trying to explain yourself to someone who never wanted to understand? How many times did you react, only to regret it later? And how many times could silence have saved your energy, your time, your mindset? Because at the end of the day, your power is not in what you say, it's in what you control. And once you control your reactions, you control your life. So the next time you feel triggered, remember this, your reaction is optional, but its consequences are not. Choose wisely, stay calm, and let your silence do the work. And if this changed the way you think, don't just listen, apply it, because knowledge without action means nothing. And if you want more deep psychology, real-life strategies, and powerful mindset shifts like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stay connected. Because here, we don't just talk, we help you take control.